Hey guys, my name is Mike and I make videos about saving money. A few weeks ago, I made a video about tax refunds and what you should not be spending this money on. And now that we're a little bit closer to the April 15 deadline for filing taxes, I thought it might be appropriate to make a follow-up video to give you guys some ideas of what you should be spending this money on instead. So instead of taking your tax refund to the casino and gambling it away, or using that money to buy expensive tattoos, you could instead watch this video where I'm going to give you 3 responsible ways to spend your tax refund this year. And the first way you can spend your tax refund is by investing in yourself. I know that sounds cliche, but let's break this down into 2 categories. You have your personal life, and then you have your professional life. In regards to your personal life, one of the most important things on this planet that I think everyone should value is your overall health. And to illustrate this, we can take a look at a quote from Steve Jobs, who was the founder of Apple. I'll throw the quote on the screen so you can see. And if I could paraphrase the first line of this quote, he's basically saying that he doesn't want to be the richest person that's buried in the cemetery. And if we tie that quote in with our overall health, my interpretation would be that you could spend your whole life chasing money, but it could all be for nothing if you were to die tomorrow because you neglected your health. So don't be the richest person in the grave. Use a portion of your tax refund to buy an affordable gym membership, or maybe invest in some weights that you can use at home. The goal here is to invest into your overall health. That way you can stick around long enough to enjoy all the money that you've saved from living a frugal life. And after investing in our health, we also want to invest into our professional life as well. Using this survey that I found from census.gov, it looks like as of 2019, about 36% of the US population has a bachelor's degree, meaning that about 1 in 3 people that you currently work with may be equally or more qualified for a job more than you are based on their academic background. So to help close this gap and help yourself become more competitive in the workplace, you should consider using a portion of your tax refund towards earning a professional certification in whatever field that you're trying to pursue. And if that's too time consuming, you could always use resources like LinkedIn Learning, where you can search different topics and watch educational videos on your own time. And one area I think everyone can always improve on is public speaking.
We are warriors!
So there's this resource called Toastmasters International, which essentially is a network of worldwide clubs that meet once a week to help you practice and improve your public speaking skills. And it looks like they have locations all across the globe and only cost about $45 every 6 months. So it's definitely affordable, and it might be something you want to look into to help you stand out more at work and advance your professional career. And after investing in ourselves, the second thing that we should do with our tax refund this year is to create an emergency fund. Think of this as essentially a savings account where if something like happened and you lost your job today, then at least you would have access to this extra money to help you survive for the next few months. And usually it's recommended to have between 3 and 6 months worth of living expenses saved up, meaning that if it costs you and your family about $1,000 per month just to survive, then you should have an emergency fund of about $3,000 to $6,000 saved up, just in case you were to lose your job or an unexpected emergency came up. And if you watched my video from a few weeks ago, where I talked about how not to spend your tax refund this year, then you know how I feel about tax refunds in the first place, where you are essentially giving the government an interest-free loan. However, not all things about a tax refund are bad. As an example, if you really struggle with saving money, then you can look at a tax refund as essentially a forced savings account. You're basically letting the government borrow money out of your paycheck each week, which eventually will be returned to you about a year later in the form of a lump sum. And so instead of going out and immediately spending your tax refund on something that you don't need, you can just pretend that you never received the tax refund in the first place and then just let that money sit in either a high interest savings account or in a money market account. Both are places where you can still access your money while also taking advantage of some of the higher interest rates as compared to a traditional checking or savings account. Alright, so we went over the importance of investing in yourself and saving for an emergency fund. The third thing that you should consider doing with your tax refund this year is to put that money towards retirement. According to this Forbes article that I found online, as of 2019, it looks like about 26% of Americans that are in my age bracket do not have anything saved up for retirement. And so I think this is a great opportunity to show you guys how compound interest works and how powerful it can be when it comes to investing. Let's say you're the same age as me and you plan on retiring at the age of 67. And let's also assume that your tax refund is going to be the same as the average tax refund from last year. And since you're 30 years old and you're still living at home with your parents, you start to reflect on life itself, and then you realize,
wow, I don't have a retirement account set up yet.
Well, don't worry, because you just got a tax refund in the mail, and Frugal Fam is here to help you out. Yay! And so you start looking into some of the benefits of Roth IRAs, and you notice that they have an average annual return of about 7%. And so you go to your bank and decide to open up a Roth IRA, and then you take your tax refund and deposit it into that account immediately. Well, assuming that your Roth IRA is compounded monthly, then that would mean that your original $2,535 deposit is going to grow by about 0.58% each month. Let's also assume that you're not going to add any additional money to this account at all in the future. And so if you're currently 30 years old, then that would mean by the time you retire at the age of 67, your original tax refund of $2,535 would eventually grow to be worth over $33,000. And to put this number in perspective, we can compare what would have happened had we started investing at different ages of our life. If you would have deposited your tax refund at the age of 18, then you would have had about $77,000 by the time you retired. Meaning that your original tax refund grew by almost 2.5 times more than mine did, just because you started investing at the age of 18 instead of 30. And likewise, if you would have started at the age of 45, then you would have had almost $12,000 by retirement. And if you started at the age of 60, then you would have had about $4,000 by the time you retired. And so we can see how drastically these numbers differ from one another and how important time is when it comes to growing your money. So if you're in your teens or 20s and you're watching this right now, do your future self a favor and look into getting yourself set up with a Roth IRA. Not only will you be benefiting from the power of compounding interest, but you also benefit from the tax advantages associated with Roth IRAs. With these accounts, you're paying taxes on the money that you deposit now rather than in the future. Meaning that when you retire, you can withdraw your money tax-free, and then any appreciation on your initial deposit is going to grow at a tax-free rate. And so if you're still waiting on your tax refund or have recently just received it, then hopefully this video gives you guys some better ideas on how to be responsible with this money. Just remember that the 3 points I went over today is not a comprehensive list of everything that you could be doing with your tax refund. There are definitely ways that you should not be spending your tax refund. And if you haven't seen that video yet, I'll have it linked above. And that's going to be it for this one. Do me a favor and hit the like button on this video.
And as always, stay frugal, fam.
Hey guys, I just wanted to thank you for watching this video. Be sure to hit the subscribe button that's right above me. And then check out my other videos, which I'll have listed on this side of your screen. We'll see you next time, people fans.